These days, it's cool to call yourself an entrepreneur, but the real entrepreneurs strive for continuous improvement, innovation, and willing to take risks of detrimental proportions. Join me as we meet the people that are making this happen. One by one, they're sharing the story of their journey as an American entrepreneur. In this episode of An American Entrepreneur, we're going to visit a husband and wife team that started a business back in 2008. It's a pet waste removal business. Pretty unique, something I've never seen before. And they've grown this business to the point where they were able to quit their full-time jobs and dedicate 100% of their time to their business. So come join me. I think you'll find their story very interesting and inspiring. All right, so introduce yourself and tell us about this business you started.
Well, my name is Steve Hall, and my wife and I started Sgt Poopers 15 years ago. And we really had no idea what it would turn into. And
well, how did the idea come about to start this business?
well, we had a dog, that's Maria, right there, and she was kind of the inspiration. My wife is actually the person that came up with the idea. I had never heard of this type of company being done, and so my reaction was, to do what? And why would people do that? I really had no clue. But she explained it to me and said this kind of company had been going on since about the late 70s, 1970s. And so I thought, well, it doesn't take much to try it. There's not a big investment involved. And so I thought it sounded like a good idea to try. So I built a website and we got started.
When did y'all actually launch this business?
In 2008.
So did you guys do a lot of research, I guess, before you actually launched it? Tell us about when you actually launched it and what were you doing before this business?
Well, I'm an advertising, creative, and my wife is a paralegal. And she was just looking for she wanted to maybe get involved in something else. I've kind of always been an entrepreneur. So this seemed like a good idea, and it's something that we started on the side. It grew very slowly over the years, but it was kind of like a beanstalk, the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and they throw the magic beans out in the backyard. And over one day they look out there and there's something really pretty big growing. And it wasn't till really 2017, 9 years later, that we realized this business could really turn into something. And that's when I went full time. We tripled in size in about a year and a half. And then my wife she quit her job and came over full time into the business as well. And now we're both full time.
Did y'all have any employees?
Yes, we have about currently four employees. They do different functions, mostly what we call a conservation ranger. That's the person that actually does most of the work.
Okay, well, I like your concept of the we treat your yard like a national park, and you call it. How'd you come up with the name Sgt Poopers in this concept?
The original idea was my wife's, and she came up with the idea for the business, and then we had to come up with the name. And it just hit her one night while just before we went to sleep. And she came like Sgt Poopers. It was a play on the Beatles album Sgt Peppers, and I thought, wow, that's a fantastic name. So we went with that. And our original concept was kind of a Beatlesque design. We used the colors from the Sgt Peppers album and the uniform that we put our dog into. I did that with Photoshop. But then in 2017, when I decided to go, this is actually going to turn into something. Before that, it was just a part-time thing that kind of paid for our daycare for our daughter, that sort of a thing. I decided to use, I'm going to bring all my full marketing resources and talents to bear on this. And I just kind of gave our branding a full overhaul. And when I actually started working in the business for the first time, I really found that, you can go all day and not even see a dog. And I realized for the first time, we're not actually in the pet industry, we're in the conservation industry. And I thought, well, who else does conservation? And I thought, well, park rangers. And so that's where the idea came from. We treat your yard like a national park. And now we look like park rangers, and everywhere we go, people just love that. And it also really describes what we do.
What kind of hours do you do this business here? I guess it's just all hours, just depending on when people are home, or they give you a key to the back gate, or what?
We start at 7 a.m. to avoid the heat, and also we want to get out in the neighborhoods before traffic so we don't get stuck in traffic. And usually by somewhere between 3 and 5, we're finished. And we kind of come and go in the background, and so we don't want to have to knock on people's doors and disturb them. We just come, we go in, we clean, and we leave, that sort of thing.
What kind of plans do you have? Do you have every day, or do you have weekly, or what? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it depends on the situation of our clients. Some people have little kids in their backyard and they want it to be cleaned every day, so we do it every day. Others, they're fine on once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week. So we have something to fit whatever the person's needs are.
How do you do your billing?
Billing, well, we're fully computerized. In 2017, when I took over and started going full time, it took a while. Even to do payroll just took 10 hours at that time. We were much smaller than we are today. So I started looking around for a computer system and found one that really fit our business, a field service sort of industry. And so today, we have an app. When our guy arrives into a yard, he presses start. When he finishes, he presses stop. An invoice is created in our system automatically. And then at the end of the day, we bill everybody with one click on their credit card.
Okay, so it's every visit they get billed on their credit card.
Unless we come multiple times a week, in that case, we bill them once a week.
So tell us about your marketing tactics.
Well, they always say that I'm an advertising creative, so that's my forte throughout my whole life. So, but one of the maxims that we have in this is that really good creativity comes from research. It comes usually from doing the job yourself. So if you were going to market a restaurant, well, you should go work in that restaurant for a few weeks. If you're going to market a hotel, you should stay at the hotel or go whatever it is.
Get really intimate with it.
You got to get familiar. It's from that familiarity and that research actually comes the creative ideas. And without that, you're just going to have something generic. So, and there's companies out there that will do a generic logo for $25. They don't know anything about you. That's not going to be a good logo. It needs to resonate with who you are. So it was only when I actually started working the business that I came up with really what our core, the core of this work is. And it was something completely unexpected and different from every other company out there that does that. And, they always say when you follow, what you need to do is follow opportunity, not follow your passion, because your passion's just random,
Right.
It's opportunity that you need to look for. Follow opportunity and then your passion will follow. And that's kind of what happened. And we started on that road, and all kinds of things then changed and fell into place. And it turned out to be just a fantastic company that people just love. Our employees love it. Our customers love it, and our basic formula is to do a perfect job for a great price. And that people are very happy with that.
What are all the services you offer?
Well, we do, yard cleaning. Really, it's, our gateway service is dog waste removal, but then we also do disinfecting, deodorizing, because germs and odors are a problem. We pick up paper and plastic litter for businesses and homes. If the person lives near a freeway or where there's maybe by a creek in their yard, there's a lot of litter. We pick that up and clean it basically what we're doing is returning their home to how it was before it got affected by human consequences. So we also then check for electromagnetic radiation. That's electrosmog. It's an environmental toxin. And what we do is handle environmental toxins. And now we're even starting to get into scanning for spyware trackers that can be put onto a car. People can get a tracker from an Apple, and it's got a magnet. Stick it on somebody's bumper and find out where they live while they're at the grocery store. Track them back wherever they are going. And so there's people now that want to have their automobiles scanned once a week for trackers, and we do that because it's part of a toxic environment, and that's really what we handle is the toxic environment. Criminal person.
Oh, that's right.
Wants
Yeah,
to
someone
know,
outside of the.
maybe he sees somebody and she looks like she's got money or she's got a nice car, and he wants to know where she lives, and so he puts a tracker on the, sticks on the back bumper or under the fender, and then he can just watch on his phone and see where she drives, and now he knows where she lives. So that's something we can come to the house once a week. We can walk around and scan their automobiles. We can scan inside the house too for hidden cameras and things like that. So basically we handle toxic environments. So that includes whether it's animal waste, germs, odors, litter, radiation, or electromagnetic radiation, or even spyware.
Well, tell me a little bit about the misconception of dog poop just being fertilizer.
Yes, that kind of was, when I started doing research into the business, my wife said, it's a pooper scooper business. And I was like, oh, what? Why do they even care? Doesn't it just turn into dirt? That's what I thought. And that's what most people think. But actually, fertilizer only comes from herbivores. So herbivores would include like horses, sheep, cows, and goats. They take in plants. So the rule is plants in, plants out. What comes out is good for plants. It's called manure because it is plants. But dogs and other animals are omnivores or carnivores. They eat meat. So the rule there is organisms in, organisms out. And their waste is toxic. It does not turn into dirt. It is toxic. So it contaminates the soil. There's nothing, it has zero commercial value. If you had 7,000 tons of dog waste, you couldn't sell it for a nickel. It's just a problem. It's a toxic. So there's no commercial use for it. Whereas manure, it's valuable. It's 15 cents a pound or whatever. And farmers use it, but you can't use it. So it just has to be removed, and it needs to go to the landfill.
Well, tell us about the demographic of your typical customer.
Well, it's surprising because our usual customer spans the whole gamut. We have people that live in poor areas of town, and we have some billionaires and everything in between. But most of our customers are, I would say, probably middle class, upper middle class perhaps. They're busy. They have a life. Some of them travel. Many of them have children. And there's just so much that has to be done on a daily basis. It's hard if you have one or two dogs or more. It's hard to keep up with the waste that's going into the backyard each day. A lot of people now too are getting, what they call artificial turf is becoming popular. And so that also is something that just needs to be cleaned frequently.
Is that worse than grass, you think?
It's about the same. Both are a problem, yeah.
What are some things you learned after you started this business that caught you off guard?
Well, the biggest thing that caught me off guard was when I actually started 9 years into the business, when I actually started to clean some yards myself in 2017, when I realized that we weren't actually in the pet industry. Because, every other company, they really think they're in the pet industry. But you can go all day. We're not really doing anything with dogs. We love dogs. We always bring, treats in our pocket that we can hand out. And so we make friends easily. We're all dog owners, of course, so we love dogs. But we're not doing anything with the dogs. We don't groom the dogs. We don't wash the dogs. We don't, we're cleaning the yard. It's like a pool cleaner. He's not doing anything with, he's cleaning the pool. He's not doing anything with leaves. Or he's not an arborist. He's not doing anything with bugs that land in the water except removing them.
Is there a lot of competition?
There's competition in any industry. So, you need to have a platform and an attitude that makes your service valuable, in which case it can work.
What sets you apart from the competition?
Well, I think our branding did. If you follow opportunity, you never know where that's going to lead you. But I think that, very often, like, how do you come up with an idea to do something? Intuition is really often the source of where that comes from. And I think there's lots of theories that could be made on, well, where does intuition come from? I have my own ideas, but on where that really comes from. But it's almost always infallible. It's almost always correct. You don't always understand why your intuition says you should try this, you should do that. But if you do, there are lots of like unexpected rewards and solutions that you can suddenly find that you can't predict at the outset. But once you start walking down that road, even when you can't see hardly beyond the first step, well, when you get to the first step, the second step appears, and then the third step, and things start to fall into place. And with us, I had my background as an advertising guy, and I have a lot of skills on doing logos and stuff. So now we have about 7 logos for our company, and but people love it. But every individual will have different strengths that they're going to be able to bring into that. So if they're not a marketing person, that's okay. They have other strengths that they can bring into it. Everybody has something to bring to the table, and that is going to affect the nature of their business and what can make them successful and make them stand out from the crowd. For us, it's our marketing and also our attention to detail. My wife and I are both kind of perfectionists by nature, so we just kind of feel if somebody's going to pay for a service, it needs to be perfect. If it's not perfect, well, who wants it? Nobody wants to pay for a defective product or shoddy service. So it needs to be done and done right every single time. And so that requires the intention to make sure you do it right. And so that's what we do.
So what business advice would you give someone that wanted to start a business of any kind?
I would say, the first step is to, you have to know what principles are you operating on, first of all. There's a lot of chatter and a lot of advice in schools about follow your passion. To me, that is completely disingenuous, because it's not your passion that's going to lead you in most cases to a rewarding career. It's going to be opportunity is what you need to look for.
Hopefully an opportunity, though, that you at least enjoy. Of course, something you can't hate doing.
Well, yeah, but you'd be surprised.
There's a balance.
There's a balance, but who wants to clean, pick up dog waste? That to me did not seem at all like something I wanted to do. I didn't do it for 9 years, right? And I even had a status issue myself. Well, I don't want to be a person that does that. But I realized after I went full time that you have to decide who you are. You have to decide what kind of person you are, what kind of person you want to be. And once you've decided, because that's what makes you who you are, is your own decision about who you are. Are you a quality person? Are you a good person? Are you a person that brings help and aid to others? If that's the kind of person you are, what you do, it doesn't affect that. And once you get those straightened out, you realize, you could do anything and still be a gracious, loving, kind person. And that's where we're at.
Well, if I was somebody that was contemplating on having your services come to my home, what are some things that you would tell me to really convince me that, this is really worthwhile? This is worth your expense every week or every month?
Well, for us, it's a very low expense. So it's most people that contact us, they've already decided they want it. So it's not much of a sales pitch at all that we have to go through. Now, if you're buying a car, okay, that requires a wholesale pitch, a lot of research, a lot of thought has to go into that. But we're more like buying a popsicle. Do you have to think about it? No. Once you see it, it's almost like an impulse buy, because our business strategy is a little bit of money from a lot of people. Our business model, sorry. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of different business models, but ours is that. So if we lose a customer or gain a customer, it's an incremental gain or an incremental loss. It doesn't really affect our bottom line very much. And it's also not a big decisional process for our clients. It's easy decision for them, and we don't require any sort of contract. So they can stop and start at any time. They can make a change anytime. If they want to add disinfecting or odor removal, they can add that. We can do that too, or they can take it off. It's okay.
Well, I noticed your website really has an awful lot of information on there anyway.
Yeah.
So they probably already visited it anyhow before they called you. So you answer so many questions there.
Yes. We do have a good website, And there's an old rule in advertising: the more you tell, the more you sell.
Okay.
The person can stop reading at any point and pick up the phone and call you and to purchase your service. But if you don't have enough information there, for some people, then they're never going to call you. So you want to have enough information there. And there's a trend in websites. I know I've built about 110 websites. So to have very short copy, in other words, the words, very short description, and that's going to be fine for a lot of people, but other people want more information. So we have that, so they can read. I have people say, "I've read everything on your website." A lot of people do like our website.
So you wear all the hats too, I guess. You're the salesperson, and you actually go out and service your customers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, today now we have people that go out into the yards and actually do our, handle our delivery during the day, handle our customers and stuff. We clean about 95 yards a day all over Dallas, including 9 city parks. So
you have contracts with the cities.
We do have a contract, yeah, and with one city, and we have a contract with another. So 2 cities. Dallas,
Okay.
There's a lot of cities in Dallas, but we have, between the parks, and we do mostly residential. We also have some commercial places, like businesses that have, like they need litter picked up from there, because constantly litter blowing in from the road, and people in cars and stuff dropping cups and bags and things out the window. So
how many miles around do you service? I mean, all of Dallas-Fort Worth, or 10-mile radius, or 15?
Well, you'd think we could do it, but we stay busy enough just with Dallas and the surrounding communities for Dallas. So that in itself covers about 500 square miles. We go from the very east of Irving all the way to the very south of Plano, all the way to Forney.
Well, if someone called you though, and you've got a 30-minute drive out, 30-minute drive in, and you're only doing 1 yard, that doesn't pan out.
That is the trick in this business. Until you have enough customers, enough density, it's not a very profitable business. So in the beginning, you have one customer, and you've got to drive to Richardson, or you have to drive to Carrollton. That's not you're going to eat up all your profit just in gasoline. But once you have 30, 40, 60, 80, 100 clients all over Dallas every day, then you already have people in that area, and so you're already going to be near them.
So I guess you strategically, as you do your work, you drive to the farthest out maybe, and then you work your way in, because you can't be zigzagging everywhere.
True, exactly. There is a science, I guess you'd call it, on how you actually create a route. It's actually a famous mathematical problem. What is the shortest distance or the quickest distance between a whole bunch of points? And we've figured that out over the years. So then we design our routes each evening for the next day, and then those are ready to go on our app. So it tells our people exactly where to go, our crews. So they know, okay, this one first, this one next, and they can use GPS to get there.
What app is this?
It's an app we work for. We have a company that we found that's actually located in Dallas, and we run our whole company with that.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share about your business?
Well, I think that we absolutely love working for our clients, and they love us, and because we really want to do a good job, and we do a good job, and they know that, and it takes a big headache off of their plate. Most people, I think that life's hard for most people, and if you can lighten that load even a little bit, there's a lot of appreciation that comes in, and people are very gratified to have us show up on time every single week, and so it makes it a pleasure to do. And if whereas I've been in other businesses, and you do a bunch of work, and then maybe they have problems with it, or they want to change the price, or they want you to do a lot more work. We don't have any of those headaches in our business.
Great.
We have an agreed upon price. We come, we do the work. It's perfect. We I mean, what's not to love? And so it's actually a great atmosphere, and it's actually pretty clean work. So.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on this channel and sharing your story, helping this channel inspire others, man. I appreciate it a whole lot.
You're sure welcome.
All right,
and
have a good one.
I hope your listeners, actually, pursue their dream or what that intuition, and find that opportunity that's right for them.
That's what this is all about. Thanks again. I think the biggest takeaway Steve Hall shared with us is the fact that he and his wife persevered and worked on this business for years before they were able to generate the kind of revenue stream to where they could quit their full-time jobs and dedicate 100% of their time on their business. I hope this video added value and inspired you. I'm Curtis Mulberg. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.